Right. So when you try to understand about the architectures part, especially when we're trying to understand about enterprise as well as solutions architecture, it's important for us to understand about the architecture vision part. So as in when we know developing solutions towards reaching the goal and vision of an end user or a customer is essentially required. In that regard, it's always important for us to understand about the architecture vision. So what are the core artifacts that are to be considered? Either it is from the solution context level, or it can be from enterprise transformation assessment, or it can be solution concept diagram point of view, wherein it majorly shows about the kind of relationships of the organization by reaching down the solution, by understanding and as well as identifying and defining the solution scope. At the same time, understanding the readiness of transformation of an enterprise, wherein we are transforming enterprise transformation assessment, wherein by identifying the solution concept diagrams, wherein to identify what are the major components and how the solutions will result in benefiting the enterprises, all that stuff. So in this regard, so there are some core artifacts that we need to be identified, wherein uh, one about the stakeholder mapping. Okay, so because we need to manage and support for the architectures, like when we try to understand about stakeholder mapping, we need to know about how the stakeholders to be identified. Either it can be an internal stakeholders or it can be external stakeholders. To identify the stakeholders, as in when we know, like we use our interest grid. Followed by this, when we try to understand about stakeholder analysis and management, we use some RACI matrix on it. So which majorly manages and supports for the architectures when we are trying to develop for stakeholder mapping. Next, about the statement of architecture work, which majorly defines the scope of the architecture work, wherein try to understand about the statement of architecture by defining and identifying the principal standards and as well as the guidelines. At the same time, what are the solution context diagram that we are going to develop, followed by any baseline business and solution architecture, wherein you try to understand about enterprise transformation assessment or any solution concept diagrams. So all these things are essentially required. So these are all something key important core artifacts when we try to understand about architecture vision, wherein to reach the business goal vision that we wants to achieve, which end of the day leads to return of investment for any end user. This is all about the architecture vision followed by the core artifacts and how this can be implemented. So this part and how this transformation journey takes place from the solution context point of view, all that. So that we are going to discuss in the next session.